Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Techpoint Africa Podcast. I am Oluwanifemi Kolawole, and with me in the studio today is Bolu. Chimgozrim is not here with us in the studio today, but we'll be making an appearance next week, hopefully. Today we have a lot of things happened in the African tech space this week, but we just thought to single out two interesting conversations. Um, while one looks like a surprising move, the other is not really surprising, but still it's worth reacting to. One of the conversations today is coming from Nigeria and the other from South Africa. I think we should just go directly into the stories we have for today. As usual, we're going to have an important guest with us on today's conversation who will be contributing to the first story we'll be talking about. And that's the story of how Nigerians' identity are being sold on the dark web.
They are not on the dark
It's
web. They
not
are just
dark, it's
regular
just
websites.
regular website. Like, is that painful? Because these things are supposed to be very precious, that if you're going to get them, you're supposed to do like this to get them on the dark web. But now you can buy Nigerian's identity
400 naira.
for now. That's ridiculous. For 100 naira. Please let me convert that to cents, and you will see how demeaning it is. But that is the reality we are facing. Paradigm Initiative released a press statement on June 20th, stating that several unauthorized platforms are holding and selling Nigerian citizens sensitive personal and financial data for as low as 100 naira. The platform that was mentioned was AnyVerify, but it has come to light that there are a number of them. And this is not the first time. This is not the second time. Some don't make it to the news. Being in the media, we get some of these tips every other day of data from a government parastatal, although I don't like that word. Data from a government parastatal's website is found on one web. Maybe an ethical hacker will just send you a CVS file containing Nigerians' data. So this is not new, but the fact that NIMC reacted, that is National Identity Management Commission, reacted to this and was like, there was no breach. So how did these people get our data? So with us on today's conversation is a data privacy lawyer, Samuel Ngwu, and he will introduce himself properly when he comes on, and we're going to get this conversation going, and we're going to focus mainly on not just how this data got to this website, but how you can protect yourself as a Nigerian. It's looking like a lost cause, but something positive can come out of this conversation. So just watch out. Thank you, Samuel, for joining us today. Can you kindly introduce yourself to us, and also we'll just pick it up from there.
Okay, thank you so much for having me this morning. My name is Samuel Ngwu. I'm a privacy lawyer here in Lagos, and I'm happy to be here with you to share my knowledge on the allegation that happened a few days ago concerning NIMC and our personal information.
Thank you for joining us. Let's just go from there. Like a NIMC, NIMC or NIMC as we call it, is huge. Like you're holding the data of millions of Nigeria. So it is a commission that has been around for a while, and we willingly by ourselves give our data to them, because, well, if we do not give our data to NIMC, we are not going to be able to get a national identification number. You get? So it is very huge. So looking at the magnitude of data that NIMC handles, what are like the best practices that are expected from a commission like this, from a body like this, when it comes to securing and protecting Nigerians' data?
Okay, thank you very much. It's quite interesting and at the same time unfortunate, because I will start by saying that NIMS is a member of the Governing Council of Nigerian Data Protection Commission. It's a member of the Governing Council, and if that is the case, it is expected that they should know better
Mm.
because we're talking about national database. So, as far as Nigeria is concerned, NIN is even far more prioritized than international passports because that is what identifies you as a Nigerian, as a citizen of this country. So they are expected to implement the highest technical measures to ensure that those information are well protected. Because once someone can have access to it, the person knows you better than you even know yourself. Somebody can track you, track your movement, what you are doing, where you are from. And you can even be discriminated based on that. But I don't even want to go and begin to mention the implications of having access to such high important information. Yes, but they are expected to implement the highest technical and organizational measure to ensure that those information are well protected. And this includes having the best security architecture. Their security architecture should be top notch. They should have the best cybersecurity experts in this country working with them because they are transacting on a very sensitive information. Let me just put it that way. So, but it seems that is not the case, and that is why there has been several allegations day in day out. Every Eke market, somebody is coming to allege that personal information, the what's it called, the NIMS database has been hacked, or that certain entities are having access to the information we have there, and I would go further to say that it is important for us to know that because of the special position they occupy, these entities, or let me even say so many entities, will be interested in having access to the database they have. Because with that, as a commercial entity, you can be able to ascertain the behaviors of your customers towards the product you want to market. So that information is very important and it can actually be sold at an exorbitant price. So what I'm saying, or the point I'm trying to make, is that you cannot rule out the role of an insider threat to what is happening. Yes.
So the possibility, there are different possibilities that could have come up here. According to Paradigm Initiative, they can't specific or categorically say these websites are illegal except NIMC say it. So it's possible. One of the possibilities is that maybe NIMC sold the data to them. Possibility. Nobody should come from me.
Possibility, of
Yes,
course.
and then it's possible that there was a breach, and the one you mentioned, that there is an insider at work in
Threat.
this case.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
but if you remember, if you will recall, I think 2019 or 2020, that the time where NIMC launched their ID app. And if we remember, then there were a lot of weird things that were happening. One of it was people putting their NIN on the NIMC app and it's bringing out another person's identity. So people were having the virtual or virtual cards, NIN card of people that are not themselves. If you remember very well, then I wrote a few stories on it about how to use that app to get your NIN, because then it was a lot of struggle. And then they said, oh, the app was buggy to start with, and they said, okay, they are revamping it. Then they revised it, and so this is not new with NIMC, given how much responsibility is placed on them, right? I feel that maybe it has been going on for so long and not many questions are asked. maybe that is why things like this keep recurring. And given that, how many days later, 7 days after, there is still no statement from NIMC about this possible breach. So before we go to, I think Bolu has a question to ask, but before we go there, you mentioned that NIMC should have like the most secured cyber security protection it can get. But how do you think NIMC has fared over the years, being the
Yeah.
protector of Nigerians' data, or
Especially,
is it protector,
yeah.
or what do they call them?
Yeah, custodian.
Custodian of Nigerian data. Do you think they feared much over the years?
Yeah.
We're looking at reputation here.
And I want to add that considering everything we've seen, like how have they fared, considering everything that has happened, I think the one you mentioned from 2020 and the one
Mhm.
happening now, how would you rate them? Right. Obviously you don't know what's going on there, but these things have happened. It
Mhm.
tells us about the level of security that they have. So um, how will you rate how well they've been the custodians of our data?
Mhm.
Okay, I would say they have done woefully bad.
I I, ex- I I
They
expected
have
that you would
failed
say that, but I
woefully.
didn't. I didn't know you're going to be
They
point
have
blank.
failed, they have failed woefully because it goes to point or to show that they do not even understand the position they are occupying. Because if they do, and it goes to also point out the sort of culture we have in this country. People feel so unserious about what they are
Mm,
doing because they feel nobody will hold them accountable. Just as what is happening now in a civilized nation in EU, hells would have started rolling by now. I can tell you for sure. Hells would have started rolling by now. But it's more like a week after that allegation was made, and I heard the Paradigm Initiative very well. They said they bought the Minister of Communication and Digital Economies NIN slip and that of the Nigerian Data Protection Commission. That is the commissioner's NIN slip.
Can you
And
imagine?
up till now, and up
Nobody
till
is
now,
talking.
no official statement has been released from the NIMS acknowledging that there was a data breach. They released a statement debunking it, but none was released to acknowledge it. And when you look at the provision of Nigerian Data Protection Commission, it says when you suffer a data breach, the breach that will lead to a high risk,
mm,
you are expected to report to the Nigerian Data Protection Commission
yeah.
and also notify the data subject. So in this case, we are the data subject. Citizens of this country are
Mm,
data subjects
Mm-hmm.
because those things are our personal information. But no one has cared to notify us 7 days or more after it has happened, and nothing has been done. Even the Nigerian Data Protection Commission hasn't even issued a statement. Yes, the Minister of Communication and Digital Economy tweeted on his Twitter account that he has reached out to his colleague, the Minister of Interior, and they are working on how to resolve this. That is also an indictment that there was a breach.
Mm-hmm.
exactly.
So
My own perspective, an indictment.
yeah,
And then, okay, I'm listening.
I love that you mentioned the National Data Protection Regulation. I don't know if the NIMC has any liability in this case. Can Nigerians sue the commission for this oversight
Yeah, because there's something they were supposed to do that they didn't
to
do.
protect our data?
Yeah, they're supposed to even inform us if it's like you said, if it happens, like they're supposed to inform us and they're supposed to data report to the data protection agency.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, commission.
Exactly.
And they didn't
So,
do that.
for
So yeah,
anyone, okay.
yeah.
Exactly. I expect the Paradigm Initiative because it seems they are the only one that have that evidence right now
Mm,
since they bought the slip from a third party to commence an action, and I'm sure they're going to do that, to commence an action against the NIMS and also the Nigerian Data Protection Commission. So if at the end of the day, the Nigerian Data Protection Commission does not fine NIMS or even release a statement saying, oh, we've conducted an investigation and this is the result of the investigation, and therefore we are proceeding against this. of course, people can commence an action against them for failing in their duty. So, but I of course, I'm not even expecting anything from the Nigerian Data Protection Commission. Just as I mentioned, NIMS is a member of the government council.
Mm.
So you cannot be a judge in your own case. So
True.
is
True.
now we let me just put it that way. Yeah. So that
That's
is the
sad.
problem.
That's sad. The
Yes.
custodian is
Oh, but
not custodian.
Yeah, but then I just want to point something else. And that funny thing is, so I want to play devil's advocate a bit. We've pounced on NIMC very well this morning, but I also want to, because you mentioned something about we as Nigerians, things that we do, but I think also as people, right? I think there's also a possibility, right? Because there was a time I was using a while ago, a long time ago. I was using this particular website, and I wanted to. I think I wanted to know my NIN. No, but I didn't know it. Right. I'd registered. I had the number, but I could not remember it. So I went to this site. I entered. What did I? What did
Date
I?
of birth.
Oh no! I think I wanted to confirm the details of my NIN. I didn't remember the details that I submitted to NIN to get that number.
Okay.
Right. So what I just did was I went to that website. Um, I gave them that number, and after giving them that number, they gave me all my details. Right. So I could see, okay. So that means if I'm able to like get someone's NIN number, and I don't know who the owner is, I could just put that number on that website, and they will tell me everything number. But for me, it didn't seem weird at that time. Right. I think maybe I just finished school then. Well, still
The days
I mean yeah,
of
something like that. It didn't
ignorance
seem, because I
we've
just googled
overlooked
it. I just went to how do I, and it was one of the first suggestions that came up.
on Google.
Yes, and I tried it, not knowing that. So
So are you
could
trying
it,
to say, could it have been like from citizens and
yes,
not
is it
from the
exactly,
database?
is it possible that there are
But
things we do as citizens that could that could have caused this, right? It's a far cry. Very unlikely. But is there any way we can also hold us as citizens accountable?
as far as this particular scenario is concerned,
Okay.
the fault is not from the citizens. They
All
said
mm,
right.
your NIN slip.
NIMC,
You
you
don't
people are
even have
fully,
access to that NIN slip.
hmm,
You are not the creator, you are not the maker of that NIM slip.
true.
So there is no way it would have been your fault.
Mm,
So somebody is there doing it. You only have access to get it when you've met probably the requirement, or after submitting and it comes out at the appropriate date, you go and obtain your NIN
yeah.
or the payment or the NIM slip.
Mm,
So there is no way it would have been the fault of the citizen. Yes, I can agree. Maybe if the scenario or the circumstances were different, I would say, okay, probably somebody has gone to your social media account to
mm,
create your date of
this
birth,
skill.
your phone number,
yeah.
and, and the rest of them. But NIN slip, nobody is going to get it anywhere apart from the NIMS. You're not going to get it anywhere apart from the NIMS. So that data was
Wow.
sold, was sold, was
That's
sold.
scary. And the
Yes,
scariest,
was
yeah. Oh, sorry. Okay. Yeah, I was going to say the scariest part is knowing that, like, thinking about it, I don't really think there's really any way we can protect ourselves from this, because, like you said, it's NIMC that is holding it. They are the custodians of it. If the custodians cannot keep it, there's really nothing I can do as a citizen. So,
Or
and
is there?
I don't. Well, is there somewhere?
anyways, just as I pointed out, the normal thing would have been for them to release a statement telling us that, okay, so their database was attacked or hacked, or that they have suffered data breach, and these are the information that were accessed, right? Maybe your name, blah blah blah, and that citizens are expected to be proactive, to be
Mm,
aware, so that you are not caught, on the web, maybe through all this social engineering. I mean, you have to be conscious of
yeah.
phishing, because these are the likely things that will come out from it. So,
True.
you need to be proactive and then be aware that, okay, this thing has happened and there is a possibility of your information or your email being phished. All right. So, but right now, we don't even know. We cannot categorically say that this info there was a breach because we don't have official statement to that effect. Everything is based on allegation.
Okay.
So, uh, and citizens haven't been informed, so we don't even know the measures we will take to protect ourselves, which
Mm.
makes this situation very, very bad.
Yes, it's bad. So,
Scary stuff.
you've touched on something I wanted to like ask lastly on this conversation, and that is the fact that there is only so much we care about our data in this part of the world. Like when we hear data breach, you just be like,
It's not as
so
if my money has been
like
stolen, but we don't
you
know.
get we don't know the extent to
Yeah.
which breaches like this, possible breaches like this, what effect or impact it can have on us.
Mm.
So you've mentioned social engineering, which might still sound like big English for some people. So I need you to paint vivid pictures in the minds of anybody listening to this, the possible implication of a data breach, of a possible data breach of this scale on citizens. Maybe we take it serious then.
So one example, somebody can just clone your email, right, and use it to request for money from close friends, right?
What if my
Do you
friends are
get?
broke?
Oh,
So so
So that's the question. You would
what if they are
see, for
not?
what
instance,
if they are not?
you,
Oh, my
you,
friends are not
you would
broke.
have seen instances You would
Mm.
have seen instances where someone's or a close associate's WhatsApp account was hacked, right? And somebody was using it to, ask, okay, I'm broke right now, or please could
Hmm.
you send me 2K? I will send it back to you in the evening, or something like that.
Hmm.
I've also had an experience as an NYC associate where somebody cloned my principal's email
Wow.
Hmm.
and sent me an email asking me to send 50K, that he's in
Mm.
a urgent meeting. I should send 50K to a particular client, that he's in an urgent meeting. And once he comes, he can't talk. And once he comes out, right,
Remember.
he's going to refund me. So anyway, at first I was surprised as to why my principal would have to ask me to send 50K, considering the fact that I'm still a trainee associate. I mean, there were senior associates in that firm, right? So, but there was something that happened. That first of all, the email came in asking me, "Sam, are you busy right now?"
Hmm.
So, and then I was preparing a minute. So there were coincidence. After that email came in, I got a call from my principal asking me if I was busy and that he
Hmm.
wants to send the work to me. Do you get? So because of the coincidence, I couldn't even decipher that somebody was actually my phishing my email, or someone has phished my email and trying to make use it to commit a fraud. So at the end of the day, of course, I succeeded in transferring that money to the
Oh boy.
person, and minutes after that, the principal started. Somebody tweeted on our group WhatsApp page that uh, he got this message. Other people started complaining that they also got this message,
Wow.
and people were just made to be aware that it's not the principal. So these are things that somebody can do with the information when someone gets hold of your information. Another
Hmm.
thing is identity theft, right? Which is also part of what I said.
Yeah.
But on a higher scale, right? Somebody can become you, or use you to commit what's it called, fraud. Do you get? Could be even be a terrorist activity. Do you
Hey.
get? And there is no way you can substantiate. You can even prove it. Somebody can use your identity to borrow money from bank, because they have that. They have your BVN, they have your phone number, they have everything about you. So how are you going to prove that you are not the one? It's already happening itself. Somebody will use your phone number and go and borrow money from all these money lenders, and they will keep calling you, threatening you everywhere. It's happening.
Yeah.
So, and this can only be possible because someone already has access to your information when you are not even aware. Did you get? I'm aware that when you lose your important IDs like this national, you're expected to report to the police. And if I'm correct, the reason why you have to notify the police is so that they will be aware. because there may be possibility of somebody using that information to commit fraud on your behalf. So but right now, these information are outside, that are there with third parties that we don't even know. They listed some websites. These are just the ones they have accepted. We don't know other ones they haven't accepted, are actually in custody or have unauthorized access to this information. And somebody can use it and do a whole lot of things out there. So these are some of the dangers of having
Thank you
information
very
out there.
much, Sam, for taking time to explain that. And we also do understand how many or how long our NIN has gone. Different. We've used it to open bank statements. We've used it to as security for wallets, different things, and that's getting into the wrong hands can be disastrous.
Yeah.
We are hoping that, well, 7 days. Should I still hope? We are still hoping that NIMC will will say something about this, at
Yeah.
least for the sake of Nigerians that are bothered about their data or their national identity. And Intel Point came up, like, did their research and came up with a data insight showing that data breaches like this is not strange to African government. In fact, on the list, Nigeria is just fourth on the list of African countries with the highest personal data breaches on the continent. South Sudan has like 89.4 million personal data breaches between 2004 and the first quarter of 2024. Nigeria, that is on the fourth position, has 19.3 million personal data breaches within that particular period. Down on the list, like 10th on the position, is Democratic Republic of Congo with 3.5 million million personal data breaches. And this goes to show that African government have to really take like responsibility
Yeah.
for this. The data I mentioned is from Intel Point, and you can find that data and even more on intelpoint.co if you want to find out more about anything insights informed by data. You can find it on intelpoint.co. But that goes to speak to what is expected of African government, not just Nigeria. This news might we might all forget about it in a few days, but what happens to what is already out there? What happens with these people that does not even care enough to put a lot of value on the information? Like, maybe if you were selling my data for 1 million naira, maybe I would feel good a bit.
Okay.
But you're selling my data. I'm just saying, like, it seems like maybe is a way to what's the word, like you're trying to shame NIMC. That see
Yeah, I mean, it
it-
speaks to how easy it was to get.
exactly, like how easy it was to get. If you had to bid for it on dark web, millions of dollars, you will not be well, I think I'm making too much fuss about it, but this is painful for me as a citizen, and I'm hoping that NIMC would do better. Thank you very much, Samuel, for joining us today on this conversation. You've provided a lot of insight, and I'm sure our audience and listeners have become more enlightened on their personal data, even though they can't protect themselves. Thank you very much, Samuel, for joining us.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Okay, now we are going to the next news and the last one, the last story we'll be discussing today on the podcast. And it's from South Africa, where a newly passed National Transport Act amendment bill rather, has transferred some powers to the Minister of Transport to set the prices that ride-hailing platforms, on-demand ride-hailing platforms, can demand from their customers, including the global ones, Bolt and Uber. Right? It's kind of
Weird.
because we understand how
How they work.
how unregulated that space is, as it were. You get how most of these decisions are left in the hands of the companies that are involved with it. You get even the ones that are state owned are still regulated by that platforms, right? And in the African market, this is strange. I'm just wondering that is the fact that the responsibility was passed to the Minister of Transport to decide, not a committee, not a body, to the Minister of Transport to decide. And it's kind of weird, or is it not, Bolu?
It is actually very weird because the first thing I thought when I saw the story was so that means that when I take a boat ride, say I'm in South Africa, sha. Imagine, so when I take a boat ride in South Africa, the price, I will not see the price, or I'll wait for the government to set it, or the government takes over the mechanism for setting the price.
It's possible, like there will not be like uniform prices
True.
across on-demand ride-hailing platforms, not just Uber and Bolt. There might be state-owned ones, there might be privately owned ones. It's just like a centralized cap, like the way there is a cap and floor for telecommunication
So the problem,
companies. So the minister can set like a cap and a floor for maybe for certain kilometers. This is how much you can charge. This is how much you cannot go beyond. So I think this is more of like regulations.
Okay.
Like, but the focus is on the pricing, but there are other things involved.
Yes, yeah.
Like you want to take
like safety they will take charge of
safety, which is questionable, especially when it comes to the African setting, right? When you say you want to protect me because you would need my data, you would need me to know where I am, where I'm coming from, right? And I don't think we are comfortable having our government have those kind of information. So this particular one, I need to understand
why.
Yes, the reasoning. I need to show me their thought process.
So the simple thing is, the reason why they are doing this is like, especially for the pricing part, right? Which I think is like the most interesting part. Why they want to take charge of it is because there's always this pricing issue that drivers usually have with those platforms. Right? So the government is like, okay, let's take over, right, and solve the problem, right? And I mean, from that story, we saw that I think one of the people who like kind of like a spokesperson for like e-hailing drivers generally, said that the drivers were like happy about it, and they liked it, which was interesting. But the spokesperson from Bolt actually said it will still be the same problem, because the problem with pricing, right, and we've experienced this in Nigeria too.
It's affected by socioeconomic factors.
Yes, the problem with pricing when it comes to ride hailing is it's not that simple. Drivers want more money, but riders want to pay less. And I've seen it, like personally, I've seen it happen.
So there are three parties involved here.
Yes.
The platform, the driver, the rider.
Yeah. So let's even remove the platform now. Right. Let's leave riders. No. It's important. It's also important to them, yes, because they also need to make money. But the riders and the driver, right? I mean, and I don't know why. I mean, I understand that if I was a rider, right, I would care about my own how much I'm making. But I also think about it that if prices are too high, I will not get riders, which at the end of the day will still affect my earnings. And it's something a lot of these ride-hailing companies have always hammered on. And this is why the Bolt spokesperson said that it's still going to come back to the same problems, right? You will still end up having to, because yes, you want to increase price. Yes, fuel prices have gone up, things have gone up. Yes, you want to increase price, but because of all these things, people that want to pay for these things will also think, because it has happened to me many times. I want to go
Mm.
somewhere and I open the first app. I see this number. I'm like,
See this
no,
price
no way.
that is not given.
No, the one, and that's even the one that I like. Now,
Okay.
now I don't even have preferences. I don't even look at brand again as it
Like
is now.
anyone that
I will
pays
check
you.
everybody and I'll go with the one with the
How
least
many
price.
apps do you have on your
Okay,
phone, by the way?
okay. I said that was an example. I only have 2,
You only have to-
but I'll check those 2.
There are some that have, I think, 5.
People have it. People have it. Some people, I know people have everything. I think the reason why I have those 2 is because
They
of
feel
like the
safer a
company.
bit.
No, because of company payments and all
Mhm.
that. But I know people that have everything. Yes, there's an example right here in
I'm
the
not scared
studio.
they carry you away.
People don't really think so. That is one. That is the why, right?
Yes.
Why they want to get involved. But then I still really do not see, right? Because when you think about it and think about everything I've said about pricing,
Mhm.
you really do not see how the government wants to solve this problem, because it is a matter of, if it is too expensive, it seems like driver will make money, but
But
really get rights.
yes, and even if it is
I'll enter down
expensive,
for
that increases the commission that will be
exactly.
taken from them.
Exactly.
They are not getting more rights.
Mhm.
You're just there. You're not. So I think the e-hailing association,
Mm.
they believe that all these struggles they've been having all these years, maybe they should just try another solution. Maybe it will be on their side, because you know how hailing drivers and these platforms have been at loggerhead in different African countries, even outside Africa.
Mm.
You get about them. If it's not pricing, it will be safety. It will be, we don't want to be contract staff. We want to be normal employees.
Yeah.
We want
Also
what's it
data
called?
issues.
Yes, it's always one thing or the
Mm.
other. So they are thinking, instead of them just clamoring every time, now that the government wants to interfere, let's see how it goes. It is not for us to decide anyway, since it seems they've embraced it.
Mm.
They've embraced it. So maybe the next thing is to just get Uber and Bolt, at least the ones that are not local platforms, on board to fit into, or to fall into this amendment, and see where it goes from there. But I just feel that there are a lot of things involved in this, and this singular move
Yeah.
might not
And the
move the
the
needle.
bill is not, it's not yet, very clear how, it's not yet very clear how those things will pan out. But
Mhm.
I think some speculations we can make is because with that new bill, they said they will have to get some other licenses, like regular licenses that cab drivers that are not e-hailing per se, those they will have to now get them too. So it probably seems like they want to
Open the market for
exactly,
more
and
people
they want
enter.
to, and they want to exert some level of control, which I think might not really be good for the e-hailing market. It's too early to say. We'll have to see how it pans out, but I think might not be really good for the e-hailing market, because like I said, there are different parties involved, and if all those parties are not happy, it's going to be unsustainable.
Yeah, unsustainable. Yes, because the platforms have to be happy, drivers have
Drivers,
to be happy, riders have to be happy, government have to be happy. A lot of people have to be happy in this case. So we're looking forward to how this is going to play out in South Africa, and probably if it plays out well, it might be a move for other African countries to probably put a lead to the every market day conversations that come up with between e-hailing platforms and their drivers. Yeah, well, we'll look out for it and see how that plays out. Thank you very much for joining us once again on today's episode of the Techpoint Africa Podcast. We are always excited to come here and talk about different things happening in the African tech space. Before we leave, we would like to make a mention of a sad news to the Nigeria tech ecosystem, of a news that we heard early this morning about the passing of Nick Imudia, who is the former CEO of Konga. want to have like a 1 minute silence for him. May his soul rest in perfect peace.
Amen.
Yeah. This is a good time to remind us all to check other news on our platform on the Techpoint Africa website, techpoint.africa. There are a lot of things that happened this week, a lot of stories on the Techpoint Africa website that we couldn't talk about on this podcast. You can also check out our newsletters. Techpoint Digest is a week daily newsletter that gets into your inbox as early as 5 a.m. West African time and keeps you in touch of whatever happened in the Tech African space in the previous day. You can subscribe to that. We'll drop you a link in the description note, and you can also find it on the Techpoint Africa website. Also, there is the Modern Workplace newsletter and also and also Equity Merchant newsletter. Okay, there's another newsletter that is coming. Let me
It's
not
coming.
review that yet. I almost slipped there. Yes, so we have 3 newsletters that are running now: Techpoint Digest, Modern Workplace newsletter, and Equity Merchant. Don't forget to send us your feedback. Send us your reactions. You can send a review to us. If you're listening to this on Spotify, we would like to get your review. You can also send us an email on podcast@techpoint.africa, or tag us on any of our social media platform, Techpoint Africa, on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, on X. Who calls it X?
Me.
Okay, on X. We would like to hear from you. Thank you once again for joining us. I'm Oluwani Femi, and from Bolu, we are saying
Bye-bye.
bye.